Do, 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 do. I don't know why. I don't know why people like it when I whistle when I enter a video. I do a lot of whistling normally. I'll be in a grocery. You know, it really pisses people off recently. I'll whistle in a grocery store or something like that, and that signifies that you don't have a face diaper on. People are like, someone's whistling. It's like people haven't heard whistling in 1,000 years or something. It creeps people out. I love doing it. I love doing it because of the fact that it does creep people out. In a good way. It's really funny. Hi, how you doing there? I'll sneak up behind people, whistle at them. Anyway, about modern physics, I wanted to go over some of the key points that they don't address. And one of the things I keep mentioning over and over again, but nobody seems to get how incredibly important it is that no one has ever gone looking to the answers of things that they already think they know the answer to. Yeah? No one's ever gone looking for their nose, unless they're like drunk or stoned or something maybe, because they know right where it is. No one goes looking for, meaning academia of sciences, on these very, very fundamental aspects of natura naturans, or mother nature, i.e. field mechanics and field theory. They think they already know. Yeah? I'm going to go over some of the key fundamental ones, and I'd love to see and hear your opinion on those in the comments. And also, too, I've asked other people at various points in time in the past to ask their college professor various questions like this, and every time they do, the professor gets ticked. And I know they get ticked because they don't know the answer. The correct answer would be, that's an incredibly important question, fundamentally to the understanding of cosmic mechanics. And science, by and large, including myself, don't know the answer to that. That would be an intelligent answer. But because academia is so incredibly hubristic, there's a word everybody should learn, hubris, or hubristic. They'll tell you that they do know. By the way, I've told this to people many, many times. There's 1,000 copies of one video on YouTube. Yeah, it's all the same. It's like 6 minutes long. Type in a YouTube search, Feynman, F-E-Y-N-M-A-N. Feynman explains magnetism. You should watch that video. There's a guy that everybody thinks is a god. There's literally, it's not my opinion. These people think this guy, he's dead now. They think this guy is a god of field theory and cosmic mechanics. The guy doesn't know anything. So there's a British interviewer talking, well, what is magnetism? What is this thing, between magnets, And he wiggles and squirms, and he sits in his high back chair, and he wiggles and squirms some more, and he talks about an old woman slipping on the ice. Everybody should see that video. This is the person that academia thinks is a god. Also, too, a lot of people went to God. Feynman's an expert. He knows everything. The only reason why they like this guy, by the way, is because he was cool as hell. He would actually show up drinking some bourbon and smoking a long cigarette. On the other hand, he would fold his legs like a woman in a chair. He would sit back and he'd drink some of that Hennessy or some vodka or whatever, and he'd smoke that cigarette. And everybody, all the college kids that came to that, like, oh man, it's cool. College professors drinking booze and smoking a cig. This is true, by the way. There are videos like this on the internet. Anyway, getting back to the topic of academia. And also, too, you should ask any academician in theoretical physics or, somebody in prestigious PhD of physics. Ask them to explain what a field is, because they can't. What they'll actually say is, well, you need to look. What they probably will say is you need to look at Maxwellian field equations. They tell you about what fields are, and they don't. Maxwell does not define a field himself either. Maxwellian field equations define a field not in itself, but with a vector over a period of time with a given result, joules, watts, volts, so on and so forth. So they can't tell you what a field is, and since everything is fields, you think that if you can't define a field, then you don't know anything. I define a field very simply and also put it in my definitions, which is in the description below. A field, of course, is an ether perturbation modality. Just like ice, water, and steam are just different modalities of a single molecule, a water molecule. That's kind of a near-perfect analogy. These people, of course, are atomists. What they are specifically are not physicists or field theorists, they're mathematicians, because they don't believe in anything you can't count and quantify. And this, of course, is where we get the word quantum. Quantum really just refers to a unit. There's no such thing as quantum. Quantum does not refer, please listen very closely when I tell you this, quantum does not refer to any phenomena in nature. None. Quantum does not refer to any phenomena in nature, because quantum is in reference to a quantity, the quantification of something in it, the smallest possible interaction. We have to be able to count it. Well, that's an attributional reification. That has nothing to do with Mother Nature itself. There's a reason why Nikola Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside, and others do not use the word quantum, because the word quantum has nothing to do with nature. No way, shape, or form. It's a conceptual reification of atomists who specifically are mathematicians parading as academic field theorists or physicists. Yes? That was succinctly clear and very, very pithy. Very quotable, too, what I just said. So, they can't tell you what a field is. They are, by definition, an atomist. They also, too, think everything is a bumping particle interaction. They think charge is mediated by electrons. Charge carrying particle is an electron. Of course, you can never explain wireless power induction in a vacuum with electrons, the flow of electrons. If you think that like trillions and trillions of electrons are flowing down the power lines in your backyard of your house, you know, that's completely delusional. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. There's no such thing as a charge-carrying particle. Nikola Tesla made fun of this idea, so did Maxwell and Steinmetz and Dollard and others. There's no such thing as a charge-carrying particle. It's completely ludicrous. Magnetic attraction. Magnetism is my specialty, since I actually literally wrote the book on magnetism. Due to countless thousands of years of observation of lodestones from the Chinese and the Greeks, and also to the Mongols, that these are two magnets. Of course, there were lodestones, had different names for them back then. You know, when they're accelerating towards one another, you know, they jump towards one another. So, since they're magnets and they're accelerating towards one another, well, that's or attracting. Accelerating, attracting. Well, that's magnetic attraction, because these are two magnets. There's a fallacious compositional fallacy. Yeah? Yeah. If you think about it just for a second, you'll completely understand that. Complete misnomer. There's no such thing as magnetic attraction. That phenomena is mediated out by dielectric acceleration. Point source acceleration towards the erasure of space. Space itself, of course, is the after effect of a divergent magnetic field. Magnetism, by its very definition, is centrifugal force in motion. Yes? Specifically, it is centrifugal. It is force in motion. It is the resultant attributional nature of the loss of energy or the dielectric of the, loss of energy of the dielectric manifesting as magnetism. It would be like saying the loss of heat in water would be the manifestation of ice. Ice is hard, it has other properties, but of course it's just cold water. In a very, very, very crude analogy, that is what magnetism is relative to dielectricity. Loss of energy or inertia manifests, the original definition of inertia, by the way, not current connotation of the term inertia, manifests as centrifugal force and motion. Because everything in Mother Nature is force and motion or inertia and acceleration. They are the conjugate geometry of the entire universe, from one end of this universe to the other. Yes, but there's no such thing as magnetic attraction. It doesn't exist. Completely does not exist. So-called magnetic repulsion, however, is true magnetism. I've explained this many times in many different videos. I've said many, many times also too, and this is undeniable, no one's ever tried to even refute me in a comment section. It's completely impossible. There's only ever been two postulated foundations for ultimate reality. One of them is based in the ether, and the other one is based in the cult of bumping particles, yeah, i.e. relativity, this warped space-time. Now, we all grew up with Star Trek and all this science fiction stuff, which loved the nonsense of relativity. We would bent space and time. Well, time is a measure of magnitudes. Time has no existence at all. Time is a measure. Time is nothing. A shadow is nothing, too. A shadow is an absence of light. This concept reification regarding time is a misnomer. This is the reason why Nikola Tesla over and over and over railed against the notion of space and, of course, space-time. Well, space-time are one thing. Now, I do understand superficially, if you only have two things in the universe, as relativity talked about, and those that are into relativity in the cult of atomism, that there would be a natural inflexure of mutual acceleration of two bodies that would spiral in towards one another and obliterate themselves or create a black hole if the mass is large. Well, it's like space and time is being warped, and what they're doing, and this is their own explanation. They'll actually take a trampoline and put a bowling ball in the middle of it, and the bowling ball will sink the trampoline down. Say, yes, the trampoline here is bent. See what this large bowling ball is doing? It's just like the fabric. It's like the fabric of space and time. It's bent. That's what it is. Now, when they put another ball, on the trampoline, it will actually, go round and round and round and start accelerating. So it's perfect. Warp space-time. It's complete misnomer. Completely ridiculous. They've actually taken two things which have no properties. And Nikola Tesla, the one time he loses his cool over and over again, is saying space has no properties. Relativity is nonsense. This is what he says about Einstein. Of course, he's accurate. He says Einstein is a beggar dressed in purple robes that other fools see as a king. He also, too, said that Einstein is a fuzzy-haired crackpot. My favorite quote of Nikola Tesla regarding Einstein. Anyway, the reification of space and time is a complete misnomer of relativity. It's based in atomism. It's based in the false concept reification that space and time can be and or are warpable. Time doesn't exist. Once again, it's only a measure of magnitudes. Yes? Space has no properties. Space is just the after effect of a divergent magnetic field. Mutual mass acceleration, whether it be point source or non-point source, of the erasure of space, or what people call magnetic attraction, or what people actually talk about too, masses accelerating towards one another. By the way, and I've mentioned this many, many times in countless videos, magnets are never accelerating towards one another. And of course that's not magnetic attraction, but they're never ever accelerating towards one another. What they're actually accelerating towards is a null pressure point in counter space. You could actually see this underneath the ferrocell. It's blatantly obvious. It seems like a distinction without a difference, but the devil is in the details. This is a distinction with a difference. The fundamental thing, and I could rail on this for hours and hours and hours, literally, and I have, is light. Because by their own admission, relativity, by their own admission, and quantum, which are all basically one thing, will tell you, flat out, everything we understand about nature is based upon our understanding of light. Well, they have no idea what light is. They don't know that light's a coaxial circuit. They think that light is traveling from point A to point B, and light doesn't travel at all. It's completely ludicrous. Yeah? It's completely ludicrous. Light has a speed? Well, it's not a speed. It's hysteresis of the ether. Specifically, it's the rate of induction of a field perturbation. Light doesn't have a speed, it doesn't travel, it doesn't move from point A to point B. It's not a particle, it's not a wave, it's not a wave-particle duality. Mother Nature doesn't have dualities. Duality implies inherent contradiction. There are no dualities in nature. There's only misunderstanding of stupid human beings, of which there are a lot. And a lot of those are in academia. Light is a coaxial circuit, rarefaction, compression. Let me quote Nikola Tesla, who said specifically, light can be nothing other than a sound wave in the ether. Now we all think because sound has a speed of sound, broke the sound barrier. But sound is not an emission either. Yeah? Now sound has and by the way, the speed of sound changes depending on the density of the air, the temperature, the altitude, many factors that actually affect the speed of sound. But sound's not an emission. Sound is setting up a perturbation of the medium. When I talk, I'm not emitting anything. I'm setting up a vibration in the air which has a rate of induction called the speed of sound. Yeah, it travels this microphone, which of course creates an electrical signal. It travels to the camera. Sound has no speed either. Sound is not an emission. This is the reason why Nikola Tesla said light can be nothing other than a sound wave in the ether. It's a very, very important quote from Nikola Tesla. Everybody that loves to quote Nikola Tesla, they'll quote everything else but that. That really should be top two. Really, it's number one. Quote from Nikola Tesla. Because everything in quantum, by their own admission, everything we know about quantum and relativity is based upon our understanding of light. But everything that they will tell you about light is completely incorrect. It's not an emission. Yeah, it doesn't have a speed. That's the rate of induction in history. It's the ether. It's not a wave. It's not a particle. It's not a wave-particle duality. Light is not an emission. You can never explain light as an emission moving from point A to point B. Now, when something has a speed, we assume it's traveling from point A to point B. That's just a conceptual fallacy within human understanding that doesn't understand fields. All of these things, and these, of course, there are many, many things that they got wrong, are the fundamental things that current physicists and quantum and relativists, i.e. the relativity group there, have got wrong. They don't know what light is. They've reified space and time, which is impossible. You can't do that logically or intelligently, or if you have any wisdom at all, it's completely impossible. Magnetic attraction does not exist. They never told you what a field is. They have no idea what a field is. And they've reified everything as this bumping particle fantasy. Electrons! Yeah, the movement of power is the exchange or movement of electrons. Well, it's completely ludicrous. Wireless power induction has nothing to do with the movement of particles. These people are so lost in their own Alice in Wonderland fantasy that they will, and these are their words, not mine, tell you that what this is, you look it up. Look it up, I dare you. They will tell you what's going on with a magnet. It is emitting virtual photons. Yeah, it's like this mysterious thing around a magnet called a field. And it's emitting, these are their words, okay? It's completely crazy. Emitting virtual photons. If you are of the intellect, meaning without, to believe in such a ridiculous, asinine absurdity, then you might have agreed with your college professors. You might have got an A on your physics paper. That's all academia is, too. It's a bunch of fools agreeing with it. Yeah, your foolishness agrees with my foolishness. Yes, I agree. We all agree. We all believe in the same foolishness. That's what peer-reviewed means, by the way. Yeah. These are the fundamental things that modern physics has gotten wrong, and that are a block, a hindrance, a pit to actual understanding of cosmic mechanics, i.e. natura naturans, i.e. Mother Nature. Mother Nature is really, really simple. Like I said, she's a hairy armpit chick with muddy feet and a hemp skirt and dreadlocks. She doesn't have a calculator. The only thing she understands is pressure mediation. Yeah? And everything these people in academia teach is nonsense, it's ludicrous, it's asinine, it's illogical, it's laughable. But they still believe it. And I don't care what people believe. You're trying to brainwash other people to believe this nonsense. People that have a half a brain, they're like, you know, they taught me this stuff in high school and college. They tell me this in emails. I knew it didn't make any sense, but, you know, I had to believe it, you know, to be able to pass the test. You know how many times I've heard that in an email from people? So, there we go. This is the stuff that modern science, they're not scientists at all, they're mathematicians, got wrong. The fundamental things that they got wrong and continue to get wrong, and yet continue to preach. But this is the way it is. I have a PhD on my wall. You see right there? That means I'm smarter than you. Oh, God. They are funny. And they should be driving a little ice cream truck, pulling on that chain, dinging a bell, you know. Ding-a-ling, come buy my nonsense. You know, the ice cream truck. Ding-a-ling. I hope you like these videos. I read every comment. Let me know what you think. Any donation is always warmly welcome. Or you tell me how much you hated it. That's also too okay. Thank you. Oh, by the way, lux evertas.